Questions are swirling here tonight about what caused the loss of one of the precious few F-16s this country has and one of the precious few pilots who can fly them.
Позвольте предложить тост. Позвольте предложить тост за нашу общую победу.
Obviously, we're aware of the visit, of Putin's visit to Mongolia, and we've said this before, and I'll say it here: we don't believe any country should give Putin a platform.
I don't think this is a success on the Ukraine side at all. As a matter of fact, I think that time may prove that this hastened their potential military loss. And let me explain why. When you're talking about sending between 15 and 20,000 total soldiers into a country the size of Russia, there's literally no chance that that can have any kind of success because Russia just has too many resources, personnel, ammunition, air power, et cetera, and that is basically a dead man walking. It's not going to be too much longer before Russia's going to put this out.
The Friday night firing of the head of Ukraine's Air Force, Mykola Oleshchuk, comes the day after news broke of an F-16 pilot crashing. Moments after posting the dismissal, President Zelensky, in his evening address, said his country's military needs to be strengthened at the command level. Questions are swirling here tonight about what caused the loss of one of the precious few F-16s this country has and one of the precious few pilots who can fly them.
I inform the House today the assessment I have received leaves me unable to conclude anything other than that for certain UK arms exports to Israel, there does exist a clear risk that they might be used to commit or facilitate a serious violation of international humanitarian law. I inform the House today the assessment I have received leaves me unable to conclude anything other than that for certain UK arms exports to Israel, there does exist a clear risk that they might be used to commit or facilitate a serious violation of international humanitarian law.
Questions are swirled. Precious few pilots who can fly them.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Good. Oh, how you doing, Jose? Yeah, we're managing. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, 9, 8. You want me to go on my earphones instead? Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Jose.
Country should give Putin a platform.
The Friday night.
Let me put this off the ground. I don't want you to kick it up. I was there for the Xiomara Castro. I got to meet Manuel Zelaya. I asked him an amazing question. Pretty awesome. Atracho.
Dale, dale, dale. I was just listening to that news conference. It has more to do with other crap than it does anything with the other. I think they're using Russia as a veneer to be able to explain how they're going after people who try to interfere in the election.
Put it up or down?
Like poll workers and stuff like that.
Which way is up? Which way is down?
I'm going to screw up my shirt. All right, what do we got?
Let me look at it real quick so I can see it.
All right, Victor, are you there? You want to get a shot? All right, there's the shot. Let's go. Good. All right, let me get Pasta out here. Jesus, how long does it take to put a fucking microphone on this guy?
Turn my phone off.
Jesus. Huh? Craig, come on out.
Got it. I don't think you.
Yeah, that looks good. That looks
earpiece
good. Let's
fell
get
off.
let's get Craig's shot lined up and let's do this. And we got Maloof. You over here. You got Maloof. Hey, Maloof, what's going on with you? I miss you.
Hey, how you doing, Rick?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Good to see you. You look
The
good.
same to you.
You look good. You look a little dark, though. Can you get a little more light on you? You look like, I don't know if open a window. That's a little better.
No?
That's a little better. How you been, man?
Okay.
How things up there in D.C.?
Well, it's hectic as usual. We're having to cope with Kamala and Biden. That's always a barrel of laughs.
I think politics is a barrel of laughs. I think lately our leaders, I know you like one side better than the other. I think they're all crap, but, you know.
I'm with Rick.
Well, I didn't say I like one better than the other. I would agree with you. Politics has a dirty name today. We no longer have statesmen, only political hacks.
And people who own them. I mean, how much is Trump taking from the casino owner in Las Vegas? $200 million? Nice. No, I don't owe her anything.
Well,
Sheldon Aderson's widow. Sheldon Aderson's widow.
Wondering what he's going to give away next.
She wrote Trump a check for like, I think it's 150 to 200
Hey, I'm
million.
getting an
Can
echo
you
back,
imagine writing a check for $150 million and then saying, "Oh, I don't want anything in return"? Yeah, right.
No, she wants Israel to incorporate the West Bank. That's what, and she wants Trump to support that.
Yeah, that's what I read too. Yeah, that she's basically. But I don't care if she wants more milk duds. Nobody should be allowed to buy politicians the way they do. It's just, I don't give a shit what side you're. This is crazy. God. And,
I would agree.
And they're worried about Russia putting up Facebook posts.
Yeah.
You know, it's like.
Election? You mean election interference?
Yeah, it's like, guys, you got bigger problems than this shit.
Last time they put up that Bernie Sanders post, that's what got me to scream and say, "That's it, I'm done."
Yeah, this looks great though. So anyway, look forward to talking to you. You know, we're talking mostly about what's going on in Ukraine. Got a bunch of military officials saying this whole thing into Kursk, you know. It was, I don't know, maybe a good idea. It might have worked if the other side would have. It's kind of like a chess match, and you thought the other guy would bite, but he didn't. It's like.
Kursk was doomed from the start.
Yeah, it seems that way. That's what a lot of military people are saying as well. Sure. I feel bad for those Ukrainian soldiers, man.
Well, it was a desperation. It was the Hail Mary of warfare.
Yeah, and then we have, you know, we've got people quitting. They fired the Air Force commander, and they also, the head of the Foreign Service over there just resigned yesterday. So there's a lot going on that doesn't seem to be in Ukraine's favor, which is probably why the Western media is not giving it a lot of attention. But either way, you read the script?
Yes.
Good.
Rick, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Can they turn up volume on your end?
Yes. We're having a little bit of Maloof is having a little bit of issues hearing me. Got it. Sure. What you want to do is, he's going to, here, I'll show you. Once you start talking, if it's too low or too loud, I'll show you your IFB. Now, they didn't put it in a good place for you, but can you reach your arm back here?
Yes, I can.
All right, right here?
Where?
Your left hand, all right? Can you touch that a little bit? Yeah. It's better if it's over here, but here, let me.
No, you can have it on that side. You're going to see it with the camera.
That's okay. I'll tell you what, why don't we do this? You got wires down there. Yeah, but yeah, that's a good idea. Here, put it in here, and if for some reason, here, sorry, pull it out of there.
You got it.
This is what I always do, so that way you have control. And you don't feel like if all of a sudden it gets loud, this is all it is, up and down.
I got you, Bubba.
There you go.
Go down, man.
Good. I know, there's nothing worse than when you're on the air and all of a sudden it's like, You feel like it's too loud or too, and you can't control it? Stick it in your pocket, take it out. You're good, and nobody can see under there anyway. Dale. All right, so
Your voice remains low.
Nando, dice que I'm too low, he can't hear me. Maluf, the guest, can you fix that for him? Perfect. Sure.
I want to treasure every word you say, Rick.
Thank you for having me in, Rick. It's always a pleasure to come by the studio and see you.
Perfect. This looks good. I like that shot, as a matter of fact. I think that's a good-looking shot. And that's going to be my my OTS over here. His OTS.
Okay, it's sounding better.
Okay. Oh, let me check him in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Michael, can you hear me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I can hear you loud and clear now.
Perfect. All fixed. Okay, we're ready to go. Let's do a show.
Okay, I'm ready to do this show. I hope you can hear me.
So did you get a chance to read some of this stuff?
I got to read most of it. I did a lot of homework on the first two. The third part.
The part about Israel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly the same.
We may not get to it, but don't worry about it. We can always.
I did a lot of work on Mongolia, though, and I'm ready for Mongolia.
Oh my God, Mongolia.
You know where she got her claim to fame? Corinne Jean-Pierre.
Yeah, she married a CNN reporter.
That and somebody tried to come up on stage.
Who's a woman, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody tried to come up on stage at a DNC convention and go after Kamala Harris. This was back in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one giving the interview, so she stood up and got in front of the hippie, and all of a sudden everybody was praising her for doing so. Hopefully I sound okay, right?
Sound great.
All right.
Perfect. It's just you and I bullshitting. It's like we're at a bar having a beer.
Whatever you want to do. I gotcha. Yeah, whatever you guys want to do. I'm good with anything. As long as I'm here with Rick, I feel safe.
You can put it in. Stick it in.
Gotcha. I got you.
Goes over the top and then in the thing. Bingo. Butt plug.
What's that?
It's really a butt plug.
In my ear?
Let me see. Look.
Want me to go off the side?
Oh, yeah, you're not on it first. Yeah, right. We'll bring you out in just a minute. Hey, and do me a favor, since he's here, hang around this area. Yeah, give me my cues over here.
Sit at that chair again.
You have to be within eye shot. So that little area over there should be
good.
Turn it into the chair or something. Hey, Craig,
yes.
10 count, please.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, let's do this. Rick Sanchez here. This is Direct Impact, and this is what we are going to be talking about.
Questions are swirling here tonight about what caused the loss of one of the precious few F-16s this country has, and one of the precious few pilots who can fly them.
Yeah, this is starting to look like the downing of a U.S. taxpayer paid-for F-16 may have been friendly fire, and now, because of it, heads are rolling in Ukraine. I'm Rick Sanchez. Let's do this. So So let me begin with this, which is kind of what many observers of geopolitics and U.S. foreign relations like Jeffrey Sachs are going to tell you if you were to read them or talk to them. Our U.S. neocons in this country, for 30 years essentially they've been doing this, but they're literally pushing Russia and China, two countries that, by the way, did not get along. They used to not like each other. They're pushing them right into each other's loving arms. They really are. And the real matchmaker, at least right now in this moment, looking at it from a news standpoint, is Mongolia, interestingly enough. Look at this map. This is going to make all the sense in the world to you when I show you this map. See that right there? Look how Mongolia is perfectly positioned between Russia there to the north and China just below it. So what do you think Russia is going to be doing? Well, if you guessed that they're going to build a pipeline through Mongolia to provide China with 50 billion cubic meters of natural gas a year, you would be right. That pipeline, called the Power of Siberia 2, is part of Russia's strategy to try and make up for the loss of most of its gas sales in Europe since the start of the Ukraine war. So how do Russia and Mongolia seal this deal? Like this. So this is Russian President Vladimir Putin, as you can see right there. He's getting the red carpet treatment during an official state visit to Mongolia. And there in the capital of Ulaanbaatar, he met with Mongolian President Kurulsuk to do what is essentially, this is a business deal, right? Pomp and circumstance, children dancing, but this is really just a business deal between these two countries, which will bring together China, Mongolia, and Russia even more so than they already were. And who do we have to thank for that? Obviously, our country's foreign policy that seems designed to provoke China and Russia by treating them like doltish little stepchildren that are way beneath us. They're just bad people. Instead of talking to them and finding out if maybe they're not so bad, or maybe they are, but we need to figure each other out. No. Just hate, hate, hate. It's just, anyway, to illustrate this point, listen to how the White House spokesperson minimizes the Putin visit. By the way, you may also notice that she doesn't even know how to pronounce the country that she's talking about. She calls Mongolia, well, here, take a listen.
Obviously, we're aware of the visit, of Putin's visit to Mongolia. And we've said this before, and I'll say it here. We don't believe any country should give Putin a platform.
Nobody should listen to him. Nobody should give him a platform. People in this world are no longer allowed to talk to each other. You know what's funny about this? I'm bringing in Craig Pastapardula. Wait, I got that wrong. Jardula, thank you. I changed your last name. When I was growing up, we really hated Russia because it was the big bad Soviet Union. Back then, I remember as a kid admiring and watching Phil Donahue. He had Brezhnev on his show. Ted Koppel used to have Russian reporters and Chinese analysts. And there was, today, it's like you're not even allowed to say the name. And they say you're evil for even wanting to look at a map with a picture of China or Russia or Iran or Venezuela or whatever you, it just seems a little crazy, doesn't it? Or is it me?
No, it's not you, Rick. It's very crazy. And by the way, kudos on the way you pronounce those Mongolian names. You did it perfectly.
My mic is not on?
My mic.
Oh. Okay. So 10 count?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
It's weird because they just took a 10 count before we went on the air.
Yeah.
Did the battery die or something? So when did we get any of that? Oh, it had nothing to do with the microphone. Okay. So, because that was all ad-libbed. I don't even know what the hell I said. Guys, you're killing me. Yeah, what are we going to do? Oh, so you're going to edit in. Where I said, something about, what the fuck did I say? I said that.
You're saying the way we used to talk to our
Yeah, when I was a kid, I
adversaries.
used to, right. Now we're not even, I remember how I finished it. So I'm going to give you my last part.
Gotcha.
You can pick it up from there. All right, let me know when we have speed, and I'll take it from there. In 3, 2, and 1. It's like you could get in trouble nowadays for looking at Russia or China or Iran on a map. What happened?
I don't know what happened, but it seems like cancel culture has kind of seeped into our foreign policy. And, kudos for the way you say those Mongolian names there, Rick.
She actually said Mongolia.
Yes.
And that's the spokesperson for the President of the United States.
Yes.
Castigating the rest of the world for being beneath us, not as smart, not as good, not as kind, but we can't even pronounce a word.
Yeah. It just shows you what our people in Congress, our people in the media, the people in the White House, what they actually know or don't know.
Both parties, by the way. Both parties.
Yes, absolutely. Because I think you'd have the same rhetoric if the Republicans were in Congress right now.
Yeah.
But I look at the situation, I really honestly think to myself, I know this is all about economic ties. Anybody who looks at this, and you showed the map, you can see they want to get a pipeline going through Russia into China, make up some of those losses they had, with the European market that went away with the Russian invasion.
It's a business deal.
Absolutely.
Aren't we capitalists? We hated Russia when they were communists. Now we hate them because they're capitalists. I'm sorry. Go on. This is the third time I've interrupted you. I'm going to stop.
No problem, Rick. I mean, I think this has a lot to do with our control, right? Mongolia is one of the members of the ICC. And the ICC has issued arrest warrants for Vladimir Putin for quite some time. This is the first ICC country, a representative of the ICC, he has actually visited. And I happen to think that, the way Russia kind of combats what we do, this proxy war in Ukraine, is they kind of go make deals with our adversaries. First, Putin had gone to North Korea. We saw that. He went into Cuba.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was very, very interesting. And he brought his whole cabinet with him.
You think he's kind of playing them?
Yeah. I definitely think
is that what this Putin guy is about? I mean, he's a player.
Well,
he's trying to,
I really think
I can't figure it.
The Russians are a little bit different, right? They don't just want to kind of muscle up back with military. They want to go in economically and make deals, the way they made deals in North Korea and whatnot, and now with Mongolian.
Yeah, it's a lot like the Belt and Road Initiative, and in many ways it goes against some of the status quo that we've seen perhaps before in the world, including what we have done in places like Latin America. But I got more for you on this, because there appears to be, and this is fascinating as well, there appears to be a shakeup now in the Ukraine government. The most significant being the resignation of the country's foreign minister. He is Dmytro Kuleba. He is one of, how'd I do? You did very good. He is one of some of those names, man. He is one of Ukraine's most recognizable faces on the international stage. And this guy just resigned. I mean, he's a top dog. He's the biggest fish up there, right? This comes as the Russian military, as we all know, as you probably know if you're watching a lot of independent media, has picked up the pace once again and is about to take Provolsk, the hub that is essentially sealing the deal on the Donbass for the Russians. It's also becoming apparent that Mr. Zelensky's gamble when he chose to divert thousands of troops across into the Russian border is not working so well. Might even be backfiring. That's not according to me. What do I know about military stuff, right? This is according to a lot of military experts, like this retired colonel who just went on the show on The Hill.
I don't think this is a success on the Ukraine side at all. As a matter of fact, I think that time may prove that this hastened their potential military loss. And let me explain why. When you're talking about sending between 15 and 20,000 total soldiers into a country the size of Russia, there's literally no chance that can have any kind of success because Russia just has too many resources, personnel, ammunition, air power, et cetera, and that is basically a dead man walking. It's not going to be too much longer before Russia's going to put this out.
By the way, I mean, I've been monitoring this. This is the same stuff you'll hear on BBC, CNN. There's a lot of Western analysts now who are saying this, saying they don't see how this could end up well for them. And no, the Russians did not take their troops from the Donbass and move them there, so same old right now, right? But perhaps the most public setback and the most kind of embarrassing incident of late for Ukraine is the crash of a U.S. taxpayer-funded F-16. You know, like, I paid for this thing, right? And it's starting to look like the plane crash was simply a case of some type of incompetence. And what's the dead giveaway for that? The commander of the Ukraine Air Force was fired right after the crash. Listen.
The Friday night firing of the head of Ukraine's Air Force, Mykola Oleshchuk, comes the day after news broke of an F-16 pilot crashing. Moments after posting the dismissal, President Zelensky, in his evening address, said his country's military needs to be strengthened at the command level. Questions are swirling here tonight about what caused the loss of one of the precious few F-16s this country has and one of the precious few pilots who can fly them.
You know, when you put all this together, Craig, bringing you back into this conversation, it just, you know, some people might say, well, what is the situation? Because they get a lot of different information. Western media says, Ukraine is killing them, you know, and other media will say, well, Russia's winning. And a lot of people feel like, well, what's the truth? Seems to me, trying to be objective about this, things do not look good right now for the Zelensky government, if nothing else. I mean, a lot of people are being fired. A lot of people are quitting. The F-16 incident, the Donbass situation where the Russians are about to take Provost, the situation in Kursk is really not working. Unless I'm getting this completely wrong, it doesn't look good.
Yeah. Well, I think you might be getting it a little bit wrong because I think you have to define what winning and losing is. There's a hot war and there's an information war.
Yeah.
And as long as the money keeps flowing for this scandal over this pyramid scheme that seems to be funneling a lot of money back into the U.S. government, we saw the FTX scandal, they win. So by going into Kursk, even though it was a dead man walking the situation, like you said, the Russians had to not commit any troops from the Donbass to go back. They're just using the troops they have over there, and they're not allowing them to leave.
And by the way, what's interesting about that is it doesn't look at this point like the Russians are all excited about going in there and taking these guys out. They're still there.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you want to capture this much of a country this big? It's okay, we'll get to you.
Yeah.
That seems to be what they're saying. I mean, again, what do I know? But
no, you hit it on the nose because they're breaking further into the front lines over by the Donbass. Over, so they're moving in. But the information war that the United States wants to have so they can get more money flowing, they can throw up these headlines that the Ukrainians have got into Russian territory and now all of a sudden maybe those checks, they'll keep flowing.
You know, I've always thought that. Like, this is horrible. And I feel bad even saying this because, man, I hope people really don't think like that. I've always thought there's got to be someone somewhere out there who, when they see you or me or some other Anderson Cooper or, you know, somebody on Fox or somebody report that a F-16 has just been down, they're like, yes, get to build another one.
Yeah.
We get to build another one.
Yeah.
This is great. That's another $200 million or whatever. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, God, I'd hate to think that people are, that's really what this is all about. People making a lot of money on military hardware.
I think the proof is in the pudding. We've seen it for quite some time. You can hear people like Lindsey Graham, we'll fight to the last Russian. They don't care as long as that money flows.
Or the last Ukrainian.
Yeah, the last Ukrainian. Not our troops, right? And they can sell that to the public. It's all Ukrainians. We just got to fund them to stop Putin.
God, I would like to think that's not the case, but I'll tell you, it's hard to not look at it that way, given what we're seeing right now. By the way, there is perhaps only one country in the world that is more obedient to Israel than the United States. That country is the UK, as you probably know. But now, for the very first time, we're seeing a kink in that armor. Listen to what the British Foreign Secretary just recently announced to Parliament.
I inform the House today the assessment I have received leaves me unable to conclude anything other than that for certain UK arms exports to Israel, there does exist a clear risk that they might be used to commit or facilitate a serious violation of international humanitarian law.
So he's basically saying, we're not going to give you all of the stuff we promised you because I think you might be committing some war crimes, according to, you know, the United Nations at all, right? It's not all the funding, by the way. They're only taking 30% or something like that, some figure. There's 355 systems, and they're denying them 30 of them or something like that. But it's a significant message that they're sending. And it seems obvious that if the UK is funding Israel's war, you would think they would have the right then. Hey, let me put it to you this way. If you come to me and you say, hey, Rick, I need some money. I'm going to start a business. And I give you, I don't know, whatever. I give you $50,000 to start your business. I have a right to call you once in a while and ask you how the hell you're using my money and what you're doing. And it seems like Israel is mad because the United States, and in this case the UK, how dare they tell us what to do with their money, right? Doesn't it seem like simple?
It does seem simple, Rick, but I think the problem is that Israel controls our government. Half our members of Congress have dual citizenship with Israel, and what Israel says goes. This goes all the way back to the SS Liberty, you know, when Israel tried to sink one of our vessels, and they told us what they were going to do. Same thing that goes with England. I mean, look at Jeremy Corbyn. He couldn't say anything without his whole Congress attacking him, the Parliament attacking him.
Like 95% of the people who are politicians in the Congress and in the Senate are beholding to the Israeli lobby, and the Israeli lobby works at the behest of the Israeli government. So, by the way, isn't that interference? Isn't that election interference?
It should be. That's the real election interference. But Rick, but be careful when you say these.
I keep saying crazy things. I should be careful.
Well, you got to be careful because they'll come for you.
And at this point, though, I mean, Israel is saying, "Look, we're not sure you're doing the right thing, and we're going to take back some of the money." It's kind of interesting. The U.S. isn't doing that, though.
No, not yet.
Nor will they.
No, I mean, you'll get some lip service from people in our Congress eventually, too, as well. But at the end of the day, those checks are going to come. We fund Israel more than we fund any country out there right now. That's where a lot of our money goes from our foreign policy. So same goes as Europe, all of Europe, France, England, all our allies.
Craig Pasta Jardula. Thanks, man. Good conversation.
Having me on.
When we come back, we're going to return to our focus of Ukraine, the latest on the battlefield, the F-16. You know, there's as Americans, there's lots to talk about to try to understand this while taking both sides into consideration. Former Pentagon official Michael Maloof is going to join us in just a little bit. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Thank you. Do you mind if I watch the next section here? It's okay. I think they want to talk about next week or. Okay. Got it. You want me to take anything out? You got it? Of course. Yeah, yeah. All right, so I come in next week. I think I'm going to I got the cadence down, the rhythm down. A little bit more short and condensed next week. I'll be ready.
You got the back? Okay, yeah. I just need to check this real quick. Hang on.
Nine minutes, perfect. Hey, welcome back. I'm Rick Sanchez, and I'm going to be joined now by an expert in geopolitics in his own right. He's a former Pentagon official, Michael Maloof. He's been a frequent guest of our show, and he and I have gotten to know each other over the years, and he's good enough to join us now. So, Michael, I said a little while ago when I was speaking with Craig that, and I'm trying to be as much a neutral observer as I possibly can in a world where there appears to be very little neutrality, but that it does look like things are rolling downhill for the government of Zelensky or the Ukrainian government. When you start seeing people leaving the government, when you see people quitting, like the head of foreign affairs in a country, when you start seeing the commander of the Air Force be fired because a plane crashed, and when you see this situation that's developing in Kursk, which even our military officials, people like you, are saying objectively, that's not going to work. You can't help but look at this and wonder what can be next for Ukraine, save an outpouring of weapons from the West, I guess. I don't know. How do you see it, Michael?
Well, I see it as this thing coming to a close very, very quickly. And I also see Russia now going to be intensifying his efforts to hit infrastructure inside of Ukraine, only to get Ukraine to finally stop its actions, its little aggressions, if you will, because the war is over. It's been over for almost a year.
Really? You say it's been over for most of the year? There's nobody who watches any television in the United States or in any Western country who would agree with that or even understand how you can say something like that, because they've been watching all these reports telling them how well Ukraine was doing.
Well, it hasn't been, and the fact is that it hasn't been for quite some time. It's lost tremendous numbers of troops. Its ammunition, its war machine is not working. Its basic fundamental military doctrine hasn't been working against Russia, and a lot of that has to do with tactics, strategies, the fact that they didn't have air power.
Yeah.
Air power, and they based a lot of their tactics on Western ways, which requires air power to protect the troops, to stop the tanks, to do away with the landmine. Well, Russia's had all this opportunity to lay these mines.
It's funny you said that, because I remember you're saying it sounds Western. Remember when we first went into Iraq, and that big general from Tampa, what was his name? You know him. You probably worked for him. But he came out in his news conferences and he would always say, we control the theater through the air. We control the theater through the air. And as long as we have air superiority, we will take the Iraqis down and fast. And he was right. They essentially did. And I guess that's what you're saying that we were trying to do then, that we're trying to do now.
That's been the Western strategy.
Yeah. Schwarzkopf just came to my head. Sorry. General Schwarzkopf.
But yeah, that was during Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Correct.
And we immediately had to establish air superiority. And once we had achieved that, and that did occur on my watch, everything was anticlimactic after that. It actually showed that Russian tanks that Iraq was using were obliterated. But that's not the case today.
Mm. So here's what I think you're kind of saying, and a lot of people may be saying. It seems like both sides, Mr. Zelensky and Mr. Putin's sides, are both trying to come up with the best scenario to get the best deal for when they finally come up with some kind of truce. I'm gonna try and improve my lot or my negotiating space by going into your space, says, I guess, Mr. Zelensky, by going into the Kursk Oblast. And Mr. Putin, on the other hand, is saying, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to go further and longer and harder into the Donbass, into Provosk and places like that. So that in the end, if you say it's a month, maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's a year, I don't know. But at some point, they're going to come together and they're going to have to negotiate this thing. Who's going to be in a better position to negotiate?
I would agree they'd have to come ultimately to negotiate. This is what Mr. Putin is putting the pressure on Zelensky to do now. And he's going to be increasing his activities to hit more of the infrastructure. Now, Putin has other considerations. He doesn't want to appear to the outside world that he is trying to not only sweep through Ukraine and then take Europe or anything like that, but he also doesn't want to chase away countries that want to belong to the BRICS. And he's beginning to be quite successful now in bringing those countries in, and they see a stability on the part of Putin in the way that he's been handling things. He hasn't gone full bore in trying to wipe out the Ukrainians, the population entirely. It's just not happening. But he is going to be increasing, going after military targets in order to bring this thing to a conclusion real fast, because we will be approaching winter here pretty soon, and that will and Ukraine probably wouldn't be able to survive it.
Why? What makes winter so special? Explain to me. Is that a military thing?
Their energy resources in Ukraine will be absolutely crushed. It's hitting the infrastructure. Their electricity areas are being overtaken now, are being destroyed. So, and that's why, and they have very limited amounts compared to what Russia might have.
Yeah, that's what you always hear.
The Ukrainians might be hitting some of the oil and gas resources in Russia. It doesn't compare to a few strikes into Ukraine.
Yeah, no, obviously, Russia is a bigger country with more people, a bigger army, more resources, more everything, and Ukraine has to depend on the West to give them whatever they can give them. And a lot of Western countries are now saying, look, guys, I mean, we've given you all we can give you. We're done. We can't continue to give you stuff, which is a problem, which is a problem for them, obviously.
You're going to be seeing that now because we're approaching our own elections, and people are fed up. And you hear Trump now saying, "Look, he's going to talk to Putin about trying to resolve this thing once and for all. He wants to sit down and talk to him." An approach totally different from the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's a fair point to make. I'm wondering, you were mentioning about the winter conditions for war, and since you know a lot about this, you're a military guy. What about terrain? Who has the advantage in winter? Or does either side have an advantage given that there might be snow on the ground or whatever happens in Ukraine in the winter?
Well, the ground will be hard and tanks can roll. Russia will have the advantage.
Why?
Yeah. Ukraine has very few tanks in comparison. Plus, their logistical train to maintain these Western tanks is much more sophisticated, and the production of tanks by Russia it's like 5 times of what, or maybe even more than what the Ukrainians have. So they're prepared to roll it out even more, and notwithstanding drones and what have you. And the Russians also have countermeasures for the Ukrainian drones now. So it's a losing proposition for the Ukrainians.
Final question, and we have about a minute. Do you think in the end this will all just come down to the Russian side saying, look, we got the Donbass, we're going to keep the Donbass. You promised that you're not going to join NATO and that the West is not going to be putting missiles next to us, and we're ready to sign a peace deal?
Well, they could have done that 2 years ago after Minsk 1 and Minsk 2. And then after the war actually started, they could have signed an agreement which had been initialed by the respective negotiators on both sides.
But at the time, but at the time, Ukraine had the promise of the West making them Superman.
That's right.
So now that's not really there, I think.
That's over.
Yeah. So
that's over. And what you're going to be seeing now will be the Russians putting this increasing pressure. They realize we have an election coming up, and they're going to want to get this thing done with, I think, even before our own election.
It's fascinating. It's a great conversation, Michael. I'm so glad we had a chance to catch up. You're a smart guy. Thanks, Michael. God bless. See you later. That's our show.
Thank you.
Remember to always look outside your own box when you're looking for truths, because truths, look, they don't live in boxes. They're everywhere. The truth, that is. I'm Rick Sanchez. We'll be looking for you next time.
Buena, sí, sí, lo escucho bien. Sí, sí, lo escucho bien. Sí, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Gracias.
Yeah.
Yeah, the conversation.
I love having people on here because I'm Hispanic. I want to feel you. I want to see you. I want to react to your face and your expressions. And you can't have a real conversation when you're talking to somebody on Zoom because there's no place to go in. See how right now you and I just had a conversation and I talk 5 times, you talk like 4 or 5 times. That's a conversation. Not, okay, let's hear now from Richard. Richard, what do you have to say? And then you give a speech. Then when you're done with your speech, I give my speech. That's bullshit. Yeah.
Que un embajador extranjero opine.
Yeah. Can I see it? I don't think
Lo que está
nobody's
bien o
going to
lo
know
que
the
está mal
difference. It's very slight.
en nuestro país. Esa no es la función
Deja ver el
de un
chat.
embajador.
Yeah, you can't tell on
Creo
this
que
shot.
la elección
Mira, ver on the
directa
Zoom.
de
Yeah,
jueces
you can't tell on this shot.
representa un riesgo para
That
el
looks good.
funcionamiento de la política.
That looks real good.
Basando
Yeah.
en mi
You know what? It
experiencia
looks really good when you do
de
this.
una vida que ha tenido, apoyando el Estado de Derecho, creo que
What-
la elección directa
What did they used to
de
call that?
jueces representa un
mooning.
riesgo
Where did that come
para
from?
el
Mooning.
funcionamiento de la democracia de México
Yes.
y la
How does an ass
integración
look like the moon?
de las economías de Estados Unidos, México y Canadá abajo del TEMEC.
My ass looks a little more like Afghanistan.
El asunto
Full of holes.
es que
Hair. Just kidding.
los temas relacionados con México
Just kidding. I actually have a very.
pues nos corresponden
My wife
a
thinks it's
nosotros.
flat. It's not.
No
It's
pueden
not so
venir.
flat. Well, what?
Extranjeros, ningún gobierno extranjero
Why am I
a
hearing
tratar
this guy
asuntos
talking here?
que solo corresponden a los mexicanos.
Jesus. How long is that soundbite?
Estados Unidos.
Is it
incauta
really?
El avión del presidente de Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro,
Jesus.
en la República
Okay, whatever.
Dominicana. Les recapitulo la información. Ahí ven imágenes en vivo. Este avión de placa T7SPRT, quien también había utilizado en el pasado Delcy Rodríguez, fue incautado en República Dominicana.
Incautado.
So today we
Incautado.
seized a Venezuelan-owned aircraft predominantly used by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in violation of U.S. sanctions and other matters that we're looking at into the aircraft.
Let's do it. Carlos, dale. ¿Cómo estás? No te escucho.
¿Cómo
No.
andamos, Rick?
Ok, perfecto, ahora lo escucho. ¿Qué pasa, Carlín? ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, aquí, trabajando como siempre.
Aquí, como siempre, dice. Aquí en la lucha. Oye, ¿tú vas a esa cosa que van a tener en Nueva York el 21?
No,
Hay
no,
un-
no.
hay un
Pero vamos
evento.
a mandar gente de nuestra organización.
Ah, perfecto, perfecto. Ok, creo que voy a ir. I would have bought you a drink.
That would have been nice. I was just in Miami a few weeks ago.
Should have called me, coño.
I don't have your number. I would have.
Ahí lo tienes. Well, I can't give it to you now because I think, are we going out right now? No. Can anybody hear this on the internet? Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, it seemed a little long, but I don't know. You know, lo que sea, whatever. Let's do it. Soy Rick Sánchez, Impacto Directo, y esto es lo que necesitas saber en el día de hoy. México se le revisa a Estados Unidos. ¿Qué le pasó a AMLO? Te lo diré. Vamos aquí con todo. Vamos a empezar con el pensamiento este. Sabemos muy bien que los grandes países del sur global se quejan constantemente sobre el comportamiento de Washington y cuando se quejan, lo hacen casi siempre públicamente. Pero menos a menudo oímos ese tipo de crítica en voz alta de nuestros vecinos. Por ejemplo, México. Existe una larga historia entre Estados Unidos y nuestro vecino al sur de Estados Unidos. Para empezar, gran parte de Estados Unidos antes era México, pero eso cambió, obviamente, en los 1800, cuando los norteamericanos invadieron a México y anexaron a más de mitad de su territorio. Y desde entonces hemos tratado a México, Estados Unidos ha tratado a México como si fuera un pueblo inferior. Uno que nos deja decirle y hacer lo que queremos hacer, por lo general, ¿no? Pero miren ahora lo que acaba de pasar.
Pero no es posible que un embajador extranjero opine lo que está bien o lo que está mal en nuestro país. Esa no es la función de un embajador.
Ese es el presidente de México, seguro que lo conoces, diciéndole a Estados Unidos, no te metas en lo que no te importa. O dicho a los gringos, mind your own business. Ocúpese de sus propios asuntos. ¿Y cuál es el asunto mexicano en que Washington se quiere meter? Las cortes y el sistema judicial de México. El gobierno de México quiere cambiar el método en que los jueces son escogidos. Pero cuando lo anunciaron el embajador estadounidense a México, un hombre que se llama Ken Salazar, el que van a ver aquí en un momentico con un sombrero blanco, llamó a una rueda de prensa donde él critica a México, sugiriendo que México no debe de cambiar su manera de escoger jueces. Y más allá dijo que representa lo que quiere hacer México, un riesgo un riesgo para la democracia.
Creo que la elección directa de jueces representa un riesgo para el funcionamiento de la democracia de México y la integración de las economías de Estados Unidos, México y Canadá abajo del TEMEC. Cualquier reforma judicial debe tener las salvaguardas que garanticen que el Poder Judicial sea fortalecido y no esté sujeto a la corrupción de la política.
Ok, bueno, según el embajador Salazar, como vieron ahí, a quien yo he conocido bien personalmente por muchos años, lo conozco. Hemos andado juntos en varias ocasiones. Y te puedo decir que no es mala persona, pero tampoco es no es un intelectual. Él dice que lo que México está haciendo es un acto de antidemocracia. ¿Y qué es esta cosa tan antidemocrática que México está haciendo o quiere hacer? El gobierno del presidente Obrador piensa que sería más justo, piensa México, que sería más justo si de ahora en adelante los jueces son elegidos por el pueblo. Imagínate eso, qué locura. Bueno, entonces lo que tenemos ahora es que un diplomático vestido de cowboy diciéndole a un país ajeno que sus jueces federales deben ser seleccionados por los políticos y los empresarios, no por los votantes. Es lo que está diciendo Salazar, el del sombrero de cowboy blanco. Y sería eso, parece que dice él, sería eso más justo, sería eso más justo, más democrático. Yo me pregunto, ¿cómo?
Basando en mi experiencia de una vida que he tenido, apoyando el Estado de Derecho, creo que la elección directa de jueces representa un riesgo para el funcionamiento de la democracia de México y la integración de las economías de Estados Unidos, México y Canadá abajo del TEMEC.
El embajador habla de sus experiencias. Déjame hablarte, si me permites, de lo que me dice mi experiencia como reportero, corresponsal, presentador de noticias, escritor por muchos años en este país. Cada vez que yo escucho a mi país o a cualquier otro país quejarse de la falta de democracia en un país ajeno, se me disparan las antenas. Se me disparan las antenas. Esas grandes palabras, la democracia, igual que el socialismo o el fascismo, y la mayoría de esos ismos son herramientas de garrote usadas por demagogos para asustar y engañar en lugar de informar. Casi siempre, cuando tú ves a alguien usando ese tipo de palabras, no hay una solución perfecta para escoger jueces. Yo lo sé, claro que no. Siempre van a haber y siempre van a existir los problemas. Nunca vamos a eliminar la avaricia o la corrupción. Pero si yo, Rick Sánchez, tengo que escoger o creer en la voluntad del pueblo y los votantes, o al contrario, la voluntad de los políticos y los empresarios, yo escogería a los votantes, mi opinión, 100%. Y entiendo por qué el gobierno de México está poniendo en pausa las relaciones diplomáticas con las embajadas de Estados Unidos y Canadá.
El asunto es que los temas relacionados con México pues nos corresponden a nosotros. No pueden venir extranjeros, ningún gobierno extranjero, a tratar asuntos que solo corresponden a los mexicanos.
Y déjame decirte que México no es el único país de las Américas que se queja de la manipulación por parte de los Estados Unidos. De hecho, si México es uno de los países de mejores relaciones con Estados Unidos y se siente dominado, imagínate, entonces cómo se debe sentir el gobierno de Venezuela con tantas y tantos mandatos del tío Sam, sanciones, golpes de Estado, interferencia en elecciones y ahora esto.
Estados Unidos incauta el avión del presidente de Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, en la República Dominicana. Les recapitulo la información. Ahí ven imágenes en vivo. Este avión de placa T7SPRT, quien también había utilizado en el pasado Delcy Rodríguez, fue incautado en República Dominicana.
Vamos a mirarlo del punto de vista al revés. ¿Qué pasaría si mientras el presidente de Estados Unidos, Biden, Obama, Trump, quien sea, estuviera visitando un país ajeno y alguien le agarre el avión, ¿no? Air Force One? ¿Quién tuviera la osadía de agarrar el avión, quitarle el avión, dar el avión de un jefe de Estado de otro país? ¿Quién hace eso? Mi país. Los Estados Unidos, quienes lo confiscaron, el avión del presidente de Venezuela mientras estaba visitando República Dominicana. Fue un acto tan extraño que ni el mismo agente quien lo facilitó, el agente de los Estados Unidos, ni él lo pudo explicar. Mira, te lo voy a enseñar. Mira cómo él intenta racionalizar esto.
So today we've seized a Venezuelan-owned aircraft predominantly used by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in violation of U.S. sanctions and other matters that we're looking at into the aircraft.
What does that mean?
So today we seized the aircraft in violation of U.S. sanctions against Venezuela by the United States government.
Are you able to explain kind of what the sanctions were?
So it's the ongoing existing sanctions that the OFAC has levied against Venezuela for years now.
¿Qué hicieron? Lo confiscamos. ¿Por qué lo confiscaron? Sanciones. ¿Cuáles sanciones? Las sanciones. Es como si fuera un rompecabezas, con una paradoja. Lo hacen porque lo pueden hacer, y más nada. Lo hacen porque lo pueden hacer. ¿Sabe que lo triste es que en este momento los Estados Unidos sanciona un tercio de todos los países en el mundo, un tercio de todos los países en el mundo, según el Washington Post. Eso quiere decir que Estados Unidos les puede decir a estos países con quienes pueden hacer comercio, a quienes le puedes vender, a quienes le puede comprar, y también en el caso de muchos países, incluyendo Venezuela, le pueden congelar sus fondos, su oro. Le pueden hasta quitar el avión al presidente. Es increíble, pero cierto. Es un tema interesantísimo y por eso que cuando regresemos vamos a hablar con Carlos Garrido. Carlos es un analista político que sabe mucho de este tema. Vamos a estar con él aquí en un momentico, no se me vaya. Y aquí estamos de vuelta, soy Rick Sánchez. Carlos Garrido es un escritor, comentarista, analista político que se ha dedicado al estudio de relaciones con América Latina entre no solamente Estados Unidos, pero otros países. Y es interesante ver esta volá, como decimos nosotros los cubanos, entre México y Estados Unidos. No se ve mucho, casi siempre se hablan, pero lo hacen en voces calladas. Este viaje me parece que en el caso de AMLO fue más como un grito, que por lo menos yo no lo esperé. ¿Qué piensas de esto?
Sí, por supuesto, pero un grito completamente irracional. AMLO, por supuesto, puso en pausa las relaciones ampliamente con los Estados Unidos y sus títeres en Canadá, que siempre siguen la póliza de los Estados Unidos. Y es muy interesante la narrativa que está usando los oficiales de los Estados Unidos, planteando de que esta nueva reforma judicial es de alguna manera u otra antidemocrática, o que va a promover la corrupción, cuando parte de la esencia, la razón por la que se tiene que pasar esta reforma judicial es para promover la democracia y combatir la corrupción. En México ha habido en el sistema judicial corrupción por muchos años, y es debido al hecho de que los jueces pueden ser comprados por compañías grandes nacionales de México y compañías grandes del extranjero, muchas que son americanas. Hay algunos jueces que ganan $40,000 al mes, que es 4 veces más que el presidente, y es algo que es ilegal desde el ámbito de la Constitución.
Wow.
Entonces, algo que está siendo promovido para promover la democracia.
Dime otra vez, ¿cuánto ganan los jueces?
$40,000 mensuales.
Wow, como juez.
AMLO gana 10,000 y él gana más que 100 veces que el trabajador, que el obrero normal mexicano.
Eso no es una cosa que se ve de costumbre ni en los Estados Unidos, por supuesto. Pero déjame hacerte la pregunta que yo todavía no entiendo y quiero que alguien me lo explique. ¿Qué le importa a los Estados Unidos si los jueces en México o en cualquier otro país son seleccionados o elegidos? ¿Qué le importa?
Bueno, fundamentalmente es una cuestión de los derechos de los grandes capitales estadounidenses, que son obviamente, como lo conoce gran parte del pueblo estadounidense, quienes el gobierno verdaderamente representa, quienes son dueños de los medios de comunicación. Por ejemplo, el Washington Post. ¿Quién es el dueño del Washington Post? Jeff Bezos, uno de los individuos más ricos del planeta entero. Y el Washington Post salió diciendo firmemente de que los Estados Unidos tienen el derecho de decirle a cualquier país lo que le quiera decir. Entonces, el interés es claro. El sistema judicial mexicano, si se democratiza, si la responsabilidad de los jueces es solamente al pueblo y a su constitución y no a ninguna compañías extranjeras, eso dañaría los intereses a los que representa el gobierno estadounidense, que son los de las grandes compañías.
Pero Carlos, eso quiere decir que lo que tú me estás diciendo es que en este momento hay un juez, no sé, vamos a ponerle el nombre, Pepe Rodríguez, un juez en México que solamente toma las decisiones de quién es culpable o quién puede hacer esto o quién no puede hacer esto, teniendo siempre en mente las necesidades de Washington y no de su pueblo. Tú me estás diciendo que eso ocurre ahora.
Ocurre ahora y ha ocurrido por muchos años, y no solo ocurre en México, sino que en otros países. Por ejemplo, ¿cómo fue que sacaron a Lula y a Dilma Rousseff de poder en Brasil? A través del lawfare. Y todo eso fue promovido obviamente por los Estados Unidos. O que, por supuesto que ocurre, y la esencia de esta nueva medida de las reformas judiciales para prevenir que eso, para que no ocurra más, para que no sigan existiendo individuos, jueces, que funcionan como lo que el compatriota de nosotros, José Martí, le llamaba gusanos de corbatas, gente que venden la patria por tener algunos dólares en su bolsillo.
¿Te sorprendió ver, casi siempre cuando ocurre algo así, el presidente de México en el pasado agarra el teléfono, llama a Washington, llama a un amigo, le dice, oye, mira, yo voy a decir esto, no queremos hacer esto, vamos a buscar un acuerdo, no lo tenemos que hacer en público, pero este viaje salió el presidente de México en las cámaras y lo dijo como creo que, o como dices tú, que lo debía haber dicho. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué en este caso Obrador salió frente de las cámaras con su queja?
La cuestión geopolítica. Yo creo que hasta los más fanáticos de la política exterior de los Estados Unidos se están dando cuenta de que estamos en un periodo de transición global, en un periodo que se puede caracterizar por una revolución de la lógica geopolítica hacia un mundo multipolar. Y hoy en día el poder unilateral y unipolar que tenía los Estados Unidos ya no existe. Ya México tiene la habilidad de pararse firme en sus pies y afirmar su soberanía porque se ha desarrollado un mundo nuevo, un mundo alternativo al mundo controlado por los Estados Unidos por más de 3, 4 décadas, y un mundo que afirma que las relaciones entre naciones deben ser mutuamente beneficiosas y no coercitivas, que es como funcionan las relaciones internacionales de los Estados Unidos, que están sancionando, como mencionaste, a un tercio del mundo en base de medidas coercitivas unilaterales.
Hay una palabra en inglés que nosotros usamos aquí en este país que tú bien conoces. La palabra es careless. Careless quiere decir cuando haces algo sin pensarlo, sin considerar las consecuencias. Y en este caso me parece casi que esa palabra es apta, careless. ¿Cómo un embajador de los Estados Unidos va a decir que no dejar que el pueblo vote es un acto de democracia? Me parece absurdo, que lo debían de haber presentado por lo menos de otra manera, porque parece obviamente casi como si fuera tonto en decir una cosa como esa, ¿no?
Sí, pero eso es una ofensa como muchas que han hecho al pueblo, que piensan de que el pueblo no se va a poder dar cuenta de las verdaderas razones por las que ellos actúan. Y hay que estar claro, no es solamente un embajador que actuó, como le decimos en inglés, de manera rogue, de manera inoficial. Fue algo que fue respaldado por otros oficiales del gobierno estadounidense que dijeron lo que dijo el embajador Salazar es lo que es y es la posición que tenemos nosotros. Y es completamente irracional desde el punto de vista del interés del pueblo estadounidense, pero desde el punto de vista del interés de los cuales verdaderamente representa el gobierno estadounidense, es completamente racional, es completamente en línea con una lógica precisa para defender los intereses de las grandes corporaciones, de los grandes bancos, de compañías como Blackguard, and Vanguard, and State Street, que son los dueños de todo.
Yo estaba leyendo un libro del famoso autor y economista Jeffrey Sachs, y él escribe que este periodo de neoconservadores en Estados Unidos, que empezó como hace unos 30 años, está llegando a su límite, porque llega al punto donde están haciendo cosas que le parecen al mundo que se han pasado, como decimos nosotros. Y este caso, quitándole el avión al presidente de Venezuela, me parece una cosa muy chica para un gran país como los Estados Unidos. ¿Qué dices con eso? ¿Para qué le vas a quitar? Ok, no te gusta Maduro. Maduro es bueno, Maduro es malo, sea lo que sea, no te gusta el gobierno, pero quitarle el avión, agarrar el avión a un presidente, un jefe de Estado, me parece un acto pequeño. No sé ni cómo decirlo, pero ¿qué piensas de eso?
Algo en línea con lo que piensa el pueblo estadounidense, que si uno ve los comentarios en las noticias, en las redes, lo que dice el pueblo estadounidense, la gran mayoría de la gente no sabe cuál es el propósito de algo así. Pero la verdad es que hasta esta acción, por absurda que sea, no es nueva. Esto es algo que han hecho varias veces. Hace unos años solamente literalmente piratearon más de 1 millón de barriles de combustible que venían de de Irán a Venezuela. Y eso fue el acto más grande de piratería de la historia de la humanidad. Y eso es cómo funcionan los bloqueos, las sanciones, las guerras híbridas de Estados Unidos contra aquellos países que no quieren que quieren ser verdaderamente soberanos y no quieren que sus pólizas sean dictadas por los Estados Unidos.
Pero uno no tiene que ser genio, y yo obviamente no soy genio, pero esto me parece a mí que ayuda a Maduro. Esto es como diciéndole a Maduro, te voy a garantizar ahora que vas a ser presidente para vida. Porque ¿cómo más puedes ayudar a un presidente de un país que abusar del tipo y quitarle su avión? Como diciendo, pobrecito, ahora voy a votar por él aunque no me guste. Me parece que es un acto conflictivo con lo que, si los Estados Unidos quieren sacar a Maduro, no seas tan obvio con sus acciones. Es lo que pienso yo.
El problema es de que ellos están caracterizando esta acción como una gran victoria de sus medidas contra el gran tirano de Maduro, y la verdad es de que después de la pena que pasaron con el títere, el payaso de Juan Guaidó, y después que la pena que pasaron en las últimas elecciones, donde la oposición no trajo ni sus propias actas a la Corte Suprema porque sabía de que si traía las actas fraudulentas que tenía, hubiesen sido todos arrestados por fraude electoral. Lo único que han tenido en la cuestión de Venezuela han sido derrotas, entonces se anotan una victoria a ellos mismos, robándole como buenos piratas que son el avión a Maduro.
Eso es lo que digo yo, eso impresiona posiblemente a la gente, en Washington, la gente de los neoconservadores y eso, pero si quieres llegarle al pueblo de Venezuela, el pueblo, la gente, no la gente como tú y yo que tenemos dinero, pero la gente que no son como tú y yo, esa gente, al contrario, van a adular a Maduro más cuando ven que los Estados Unidos le está haciendo este tipo de cosas. ¿Tú no crees que hay gente con ese sentido común en el Departamento de Estado o en los Estados Unidos que le pudiera decir a esta gente, tú sabes que eso no es una buena idea, ¿no? No debes hacer eso porque el impacto va a ser el flashback o el contrario de lo que piensas que va a ser?
Hay algunos que sostienen todavía la línea del realismo geopolítico que desarrolló en parte una persona como Henry Kissinger, que sí hizo cosas muy horribles, pero pudo desarrollar buenas relaciones con China. Hay unos que estuvieron al final de la administración de Donald Trump, como el general Douglas McGregor, pero son muy pocos. Entonces uno tiene que hacerse la pregunta, si vemos de que todas las personas en estas posiciones oficiales altas del gobierno, todos los congresistas, piensan de un tipo de esta manera, si tienen en términos de la póliza exterior posiciones completamente en línea con los neoconservadores, lo que hay que hacerse la pregunta ¿es un problema verdaderamente de los individuos solamente o hay algo aquí un poco más sistémico que está ocurriendo? Y creo que ese es algo de que el pueblo estadounidense se está dando cuenta. El sistema completamente está corrupto, no es mala suerte que tuvimos todos los congresistas corruptos, todos los oficiales del gobierno corruptos, es el sistema.
Y es como dice Sachs en el libro de él, él habla de los billones y billones y billones de dólares que se han creado, que se manifiestan gracias a este sistema que se creó hace 30 años, donde tenemos que tener enemigos, tenemos que estar en guerra, tenemos que criticar a estos países y caerle arriba. Y eso tiene un costo. Y el costo también es el dinero que ganan la gente que están en ese sistema. Y eso es parte del problema que tenemos que también examinar. Oye, Carlos, como siempre, un placer. Muchas gracias por la conversación. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros como invitado y nos veremos otra vez bien pronto.
El placer fue todo mío, Rick. Muchas gracias.
Y con eso nos despedimos, pero podemos seguir la conversación por X, donde me pueden encontrar en Rick Sánchez TV. Y vendremos con mucho más cuando nos vemos otra vez. Hasta la vista.